Hey guys, thought for the day. It's Sunday, 1:30 in the afternoon. Windy. Boy, I mean, the wind's been howling for about the last 18 hours. I go out every now and then and look at my big antenna, and it's doing fine. But you always wonder, when's it, one blast going to come along and tips the thing over, tears it up. But hadn't happened. I don't expect it to happen. It's pretty sturdy. Yesterday, I went took the day and went to Weatherford, Texas, and my youngest son Kyle and his stepchildren were up there, and we spent the morning and afternoon chatting, taking pictures, having a good time. My son-in-law, my stepson, has a lot of toys. I mean, he's got these four-wheelers, and I think he's got 4 or 5 of them out there. And they got 13 acres, and they're 13 acres, so they tear up the grass, do whatever they want to do. And boy, they were tearing up the grass. Jerry, the fellow that owns the place, he's got one that's a 450cc, and it's a beast. I think it's a Yamaha. David has a 600cc 2-stroke. This thing is a rocket. It's amazing. Death-defying is all I can think of. My son Kyle, he's not as quite versed in these machines, so he got the 50cc. He did all right. He run around there, kind of zigzagging amongst them, but was not a bit competitive. Those big ones, the 450 and the 600, those things will do 100 miles an hour. I mean, just a four-wheeler, you've seen them, ATV things, cleated tires on 100 miles an hour. Oh well, even in my day, I don't believe I had that kind of kahunas to get on a thing like that and really, stretch it out and make it do everything it can do. It was a sight to see. Read something in the paper this morning. This has been going around for a year or two. My governor, back when he was running for president, before he thought he had a chance, I think he said that if they tried to force Obamacare on him, that he'd rather secede from the union to do it. This thing kind of comes and goes. I haven't heard anything about it in some time. But today's paper, that's what's on there. What is that? What if Texas really did secede? And you got a bunch of rednecks there with their Johnson bars prying Texas away from all the adjacent states. And that's the front page. This is it. 4-Star Telegram. I'd read it, but it's a whole lot longer than time really allows. These jerks, I mean, they don't seem to realize, we have more Fortune 500 companies here in Texas. The economy's great. We could secede and get along without them. We'd be the 14th largest economy in the world. One of the things I haven't considered is the reason the Fortune 500 companies have come to Texas: cheap labor. And most of the profits that they make, now they obviously they make some here in Texas. I mean, Texas is a pretty vibrant state, but cheap labor. And then they do their manufacturing and send their goods out to the rest of our blessed union, and they make a good profit and living at it. Do you really think that if Texas seceded from the union, that all these Fortune 500 companies that have that direct access to the rest of the market, to the other, 51 states or 50 or 49 states, excuse me, yeah, like Obama said, 52 states anyway. Not hardly. One of the things that I've thought about is that, let's assume that Texas, I call it Siegel South, seceded. I'm 74 in May, and I live on Social Security and a retirement from the United States Postal Service, not the United Postal Service of Texas, but the United States Postal Service. I wonder if they'd send the check into a foreign country, one that had seceded from the Union. Doubt it. This thing comes to pass, you folks up Siegel North probably going to see me on a permanent basis. I love my place here in Texas, and I've been down here 50 years. But they pull that crap, and I'd have to, as they say in the trade, go home. Now, technically, longevity-wise, this is home. But they secede. I'm going to be heading for the border. I'd have to. Anyway, Rick Perry's a lunatic. He apparently is getting himself ready for another run at the White House. Of course, now I don't know how he figures that he can run for president and be either the governor or the president of a seceded country. Texas was a republic before it became part of the United States. And of course, there's a little known cognizant. A lot of people don't realize that when they joined up with the Union, there was a thing in there that said that they could also break away. I don't know all the language, but I think I'm correct on that. But there'd be some bitter feelings with the rest of the country, and it'd be my considered bet that you get Texas to start secession secession proceedings. They'd see Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, probably Tennessee and Kentucky. The old Confederacy. Well, all of a sudden, here we'd go again. Would we have another Civil War? Certainly hope not. Everybody's got thermonuclear weapons now. And the thing that's driving this, of course, is we've got a black president. I mean, he got reelected, and they can't stand it. I mean, I've never seen such bigotry in my whole life. They just cannot abide the fact that the man is black and he's running the country. They'd rather tear the Union apart. Not sure that this is not all a big huff and puff bluff. But if what they're advocating is anywhere near correct, then they would rather tear the country apart than have to sit there, and have a black man as president. And I keep saying, hey, give it 4 years, it'll be a white person. Might even be a southern white person, and then I suspect everything will be all right. But there's the headline. What if Texas really did secede? Pros. Plentiful resources could be the difference. Texas is uniquely positioned to survive because of resources and population. It has 1/4 of the U.S. oil reserves and 1/3 of the natural gas. The state's gross domestic product, $1.2 billion, which would make it the world's 14th biggest economy. A big deal. I mean, there's things that I guarantee you they don't have here. Anywho, that's one of the issues I want to talk about. I think they're nuts. Here's another one. And this is also in Texas. And this particular subject that I'm going to read about here is one of the biggest gripes you hear from the teabaggers and the right-wing guys about what they don't like about Obamacare. They say that there's going to be a committee formed, a death committee, and they will decide whether you get really ill. They'll decide whether you get treatment or not. Well, here in the Deep South, buckle the Bible belt. Lawmakers grapple with end-of-life issues. A fifth time. I didn't know they'd done this before because they were so busy screaming about Obamacare. Anyway, they want to set up a committee. See if I can find this shortly. If the committee, often comprising uninvolved doctors, social workers, and clergy, agrees the treatment can be halted in 10 days, theoretically giving the relatives time to accept the inevitability of death, if they still disagree, where was this? Damn. Where's that silly thing? They got me in here. They do. Where'd it go? Life sustaining. Here we go. If Texas doctors believe the continued treatment would be inhumanely extend the suffering in a way that violates their oath to do no harm, they can overrule family wishes by asking the hospital's ethics committee, for approval to halt life-sustaining care, which can include withholding dialysis. I guess I would candidate. Woo! So that's spooky. I'm doing all right. Hey, please don't put me before this dang committee. Anyway, ventilators, food and water. Don't feed them. They ain't worth it. It's a waste. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. That's pretty well it. Anyway, here in Texas, God-fearing, Bible-thumping Texas, they're trying to set up committees to decide whether you ought to live or die. Boy. And historically, that's always been, the family's doctor. The family is grouped together around. They say, well, old Uncle Charlie, today's the best he's ever going to have, and today ain't worth a flip. So let's go ahead and put him out of his misery. But it's a family thing. Not there. Nope. You go before the committee. For dialysis, I have to assume that I'd be in a whole lot worse shape, But I'd hate to think that they'd withhold my dialysis. Boy, gruesome way to die, too. Kind of like getting tetanus all over your body. You just lock up because you get renal poisoning. It's good. It's terrible. Anyway, good secessional Breakaway, Texas also is in their state legislature trying to justify death committees. Oh, what are we coming to? Also, I want to brag on me. I am an out-and-out pansy when it comes to snakes, mice, rats, certain other vermin. To prove it, there was a time, I'll give you 2 instances. I got a wife. There used to be a guy years ago, for the guys in my generation, they called Frank Buck. Bring him back alive, Frank Buck. Or kill him, Frank Buck. He was a outdoorsman, killed things, whatnot. I think she's got his genes. Anyway, when I come home from dialysis, within an hour or so I'm in bed, sleeping. It just knocks me out. But one night here, I don't know, you're so back, I'm sleeping in my dialysis. And I hear this, bang, bang, bang. What in the blazes is going on? Well, Evidently, a fairly sizable reptile had crawled through the window behind me. I have coax that comes through the lower side of that blind. I've got a foam spacer in there, but over on corners it's not about this wide where the coax comes through. Snake crawled up the coax, came through down the desk. He's on the floor, went around the corner. I'm asleep. Into that back bedroom. Well, my wife was in the kitchen, and she saw him making a turn into the back bedroom. He was big. He was like this big around, long. It was a harmless snake, actually. I just, looking for something to eat. Probably would have done some good, but I mean. So, my loving Tiana gets on the phone. She calls Jody, who also is the niece of Frank Buck. And Jody comes over. Now they've got a trash can in there with a broom. There's a snake. At this point, you realize he's tired. He's afraid. Goes under the bed. The wife, Jody, both of them, they're banging away under the bed with a broom, and Jody's got a big empty wastebasket. Now I have awakened, and with my perceptive little mind, I realize what's going on in there. Not me, baby. For snakes, dude, sleeping bee, he'll go away. They're in there, bang, crash, boom, bang, 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 slapping the wall, and evidently they got him pinned someplace and got the trash can over him, turned that thing up, and here comes Jody out with the snake standing up out of there like like an Indian snake charmer, and she's heading for the door with Tiana in the lead. Jody's screaming, he's getting out, and they open the door, they throw the basket and everything out in the yard. Old Tiger here, I'm in bed, I'm asleep. They got rid of the snake. I didn't have to do anything. Whoopee! I hate snakes. I mean, I just have a terrible fear of the little beggars. Don't want to mess with them. I mean, dead snake's a good snake, but I mean, getting him dead. So, snake story. Wife got rid of the snake. 3-4 days ago, I'm in here talking on the radio. She comes to the door. Come here. See this? I go out there. See this? There's a rat out there. About this long. He's in behind a butane bottle. We've got the vestibule. Ooh, rat! Oh my God! Not me, baby. Once again, Tiana, the animal killer. I'm trying to think what she did, but she did it. I mean, I'd have let him go. I'd have fed him. I'd have tried to feed him out the door. She got him in a plastic sack somehow. Double wrapped him in there. And at this joint, here comes old King Kong. Myself, see, with 2 more plastic sacks. Now I'm all right. She got him contained. And we drop her 2 plastic sacks and my 2 plastic sacks. We wrap him up. And then she took him away. Job done. Being a pansy is a real pain. I mean, there should be a time I'd have shot him. I get a shotgun right there. Before I'd have touched his mealy butt, I'd have blown a hole in the floor, But Tiana's hands on. Come here. So we got rid of the rat. Anyway, it's kind of exciting. But I didn't do much. What else we got here? Let's see. Get out. Trusty little. Oh yeah. I was watching Ike's tape from down in East Texas. A fine looking place. I mean, really, really neat. Except he's right down there on Caddo Lake. And it was almost sundown. And you could see him lifting out of the chair because the mosquitoes were just eating him up. And I wrote on his thing, I told him, I said, eat copious amounts of garlic. I said, I'm told that once that gets in your system and you get to smelling like garlic, then the mosquitoes won't touch you. Of course, chances are your wife won't either. And that's kind of a downside of it. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, yeah. You remember me talking about the kid wanted to go to the prom in a dress? And he was news. I mean, first thing, Channel 8 News came on, they went right to him. Pictures of him, everything. I tell you, in fact, I put an anecdotal thing on there about me with the 56 double D. You remember that? Well, this past week, there was a run-in gun battle. This cat was having a run-gun battle, had shot some big mucky muck up in Colorado. That was the head of the Colorado penal system or something. This the bad dude. Anyway, he came down into Texas. He got stopped. I think the Texas Highway Patrolman stopped him. Thought he had a drug bust. He shot the Highway Patrolman. I had a buddy that was listening to it on his scanner. The Highway Patrolman screaming, "Officer down." Then there was another bang, and the officer didn't make any more noise. Didn't kill him, but shut him up. Anyway, then they had about a 80 or 100-mile run-and gun battle. Once they decided, detected the other officer was down and everything, then adjacent municipalities gathered up and they found this guy, and now they're shooting at him, bang bang, he's shooting back, and he got into Northwest Fort Worth and he got T-boned by a semi-truck, crushed his Cadillac, but he survived. Jumped out, bang bang, he's shooting at the cops, and the cops kill him. This wasn't news. Actually, they did finally. Now, they didn't have anything on the kid's new dress or anything, but this cat here got on the last 5 minutes of the newscast. I mean, they had church news, Miss O'Malley's rooster laid a double yoker, all kind of stuff. And at the very end of the newscast, they had a little mention about this situation. Now, I mean, these guys need to get their head out of a dark place because they don't understand news at all. Anyway, what we got here? Yeah. Oh, by the way, YouTube's running even more commercials now. Crazy. Everything I look at's got commercials on it. Well, looks like. Okay. Oh yeah, the new Republican Party. Looks just like the old Republican Party. They've got an ad out. I'm trying to think. It's that yokel that ran for vice president, and he's talking about the new Republican, new and broader tent and all that. But all their essential propositions are all the same. I mean, they haven't changed a thing, so they're not new to me. Well, pretty well it. I expect that I've rambled enough. Had fun with my son yesterday. Actually, I had fun with my, what you call them, grandsons-in-law, or step-grandsons. They were very nice to me, which was a pleasant surprise. Hello to Carl. That's my other son. Dick Stunna, down here in Raleigh-Durham. I'll probably ring you up here, me, about once a week, give or take. See, the house is essentially done there, Tracy. Thing looking good. Yeah, proud of you. Ike, like your place in East Texas, but you need to get on that garlic to tell the wife she's going to have to suck it up. You know, there you're going to have to get you some Chanel No. 5, you know, to do away with the smell of the garlic. David Berg doing good. Folks up in Siegel North, save me a place. I'm liable to need it permanently. Can't believe it, what I've been telling you. About it. Can't think of it. Brian, my buddy in North Carolina, said that took a look at your tape, kind of down home, but he enjoyed it. So he came by and picked up the freak counter. Hope it works for you. Need to ask you a question about that antenna I had discussed with you. A fellow called me this morning. Said if we didn't come get it, he was going to junk it. Seemed like a terrible waste. He's down actually a little south of Corsicana and Navarro Mills is where he's at. So need to talk about that. Josh is home from Lufkin for the day. Going off to get some dirt to make his darling wife a garden. Do you ever notice the way people haul dirt from spot to spot? Dirt they got in one spot, they don't like it. Well, I look up the hill here. They're growing wheat and corn and, you know, just all kind of stuff. Same dirt. My wife's the same way. She don't want that dirt. Go get a load of dirt with me. But she's got a nice garden. I'm gonna have to video her above ground garden. You will really like it. It's and it's getting bigger. And of course she doesn't like the dirt, so I'm hauling and dig a hole. I don't dig a hole, but we hire a hole dug in the bottom of this wooden panel thing, and when we pour in good dirt. So I might get back on here in the middle of the week because I want to get more in depth about that committee. Scares me. I mean, I was one of the things they talked about. Anyway, you have a fine one out there, folks. It's Sunday, and I'm going to try to load this thing.